Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. This show, as always, is brought to you by DraftKings, and it is loaded over the next 3 hours. We'll go over tonight's NBA card, how to attack this Bucks-Cavs game. We'll ask Julian Edlow at that time. It is Wednesdays with Vito's son, Sal Palantonio, on the show an hour from right now. And don't forget, today is when the golf tournament starts, because the two football games are on Sunday. And so the golf tournament needs to conclude by Saturday. So Indy Jeff Seeley on the show with his best bets coming up in 90 minutes. I personally did not like the way things are going with the Milwaukee Bucks this year. I think you and I were a little bit different on this. You kept resorting back to how good the offense was, which you can't deny. Offense for the Bucks has been awesome. Number 2 overall in the league. But something was completely missing. The defense dropped from 4th overall and elite over the last 4 or 5 years with Budenholzer as their head coach to 22nd this year. And they had bad losses, these super high scoring games. They could never put really bad teams away.
Just gave up 135 to Detroit.
Yep. That said, I did not see what happened yesterday coming. They fired their head coach, Adrian Griffin, and just to give you a timeline on his odds, at the beginning of the year, he opened up 25-1 to be the first coach fired. He peaked as high as 40-1, but with some recent struggles, January wasn't going well. Bobby Portis calling everybody out, including him. Same with Giannis several times. He dipped to 18-1, and he got the axe yesterday, and they're 30-13 overall. So I'll ask you this, Pauly. You were paying attention like the minute they made the move for Damian Lillard, and you grabbed them on a future bet to win the NBA title. Is this a good thing for you? Because, you know how this goes. Once a team fires their head coach midway through the season, look at the Edmonton Oilers now in hockey.
Yeah, but Doc Rivers isn't a good coach. Doc Rivers is overrated. No one has blown more playoff leads than Doc Rivers. So is he an upgrade over Griffin? Probably. Did they like and respect Griffin? I doubt it. But they have, and I understand where you're coming from. They have the 3rd best record in the league. They're the 2 seed in the East. Yeah. So I know sky is falling. They can't defend. You drop the 3rd best record in the league. But it comes down to respect and what the star player thinks. So, the reports that he wanted to get rid of his brother, Von Tobel, as you mentioned many times, Von Tobel quickly pointed out how Freak would just walk by him, check into games by himself and pay him no mind as well. Mm-hmm. The thing that bothered me from the get-go, there were 2 things, actually. When they traded for Lillard, Jimmy Butler said, "I'm surprised he wants to play for Adrian Griffin. I can't believe it." That was a weird quote. And then, right before the season, Stotts quit. Now, why would that happen?
Alarms were going off back then.
So once Stotts quit, I said, there's something going on with this guy. It doesn't make any sense because you had the great connection and rapport with Stotts and Lillard. One of the reasons, they get the deal done and Lillard goes to Milwaukee. And then he's going to be reunited with his former head coach that he loved. And then the guy quits right before the season? Right. And he was supposed to be the veteran coach to help out the guy who's never had a coaching job before? So that was, but I still come back to the record and how well they're playing, at least wins, losses, and how good they look offensively. So it also reminds me of David Blatt, where Blatt wasn't in his first year, but LeBron didn't respect him
Not at all. Not for a second.
So David Blatt was fired by Cleveland, and they were 30-11.
Yep.
So think about that.
LeBron.
But it worked out, though.
Now, this is according to Brian Windhorst, who wrote a book about that season, right? He said that LeBron was never pounding the table to get rid of David Blatt. Like, he sucked it up. He didn't like him as the head coach. Yep. He sucked it up, though, and never really moaned and groaned to ownership saying, get this guy out of here right now.
Well, David Blatt also was successful in other stops.
Oh, he was awesome, like overseas.
That's right. Griffin was unknown. The other thing is, according to reports, Freak could have had Nick Nurse.
So this is on Freak then?
I would say so, yes.
I mean, he was not responsible for getting Budenholzer fired, according to many people. However, the fact that Giannis was in the room, like when they were talking to coaches, and he had a say in this, which, never a good idea. However, when he poo-pooed Nick Nurse, that kind of tells you quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a bad job.
So now
That's
think
a
about this.
no-brainer. Yeah.
We could get a playoff matchup now with Doc Rivers and the Bucks taking on the 76ers and Nick Nurse.
That is wild. That's definitely in play.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Yep. But yeah, I understand they have to fix the defense. It's been bad, and he wasn't getting through to them. Now you can't blame all of it on getting rid of Holiday. Now certainly the Bucks didn't know that would happen. They didn't think they were going to acquire Lillard, trade Holiday, and then Holiday was going to go to Boston.
Right.
There's no way they thought that was going to happen.
And this is all way after they hired Griffin as their head coach.
Yeah.
So he thought he was walking into a team that had played together for a long time. Mm-hmm. So that as a first-year head coach, he's kind of learning on the job big time, and then with a brand new team as well.
I don't know. There's something there where we need more information in terms of need to be dialed in and no players. For the Butler comment, I can't believe he would want to play for Griffin. That's an interesting comment, even though we thought he was going to go to Miami too, and maybe Butler had sour grapes there as well.
I think so.
But here's the Howard, you were going to say?
No, I was going to say, just maybe the fact that he's a first-year coach. He's like, really? He's going to go play for that guy? You can come here and play with us and Spoelstra?
Yeah, he's awesome, no doubt. Howard Beck from The Ringer, going back, head coaches who didn't even last one season and were not interim. Jerry Tarkanian with the Spurs.
Oh, that did not go well.
Lasted 20 games. The money quote was, you got to be kidding me with this guy. Bob Weiss, 30 games with Seattle. Here's Griffin, 43. Mo Cheeks with the Pistons. Terry Porter with the Suns. And Beeline with the Cavs a few years ago. He lasted 54 games. So it's not so far as the games that are surprising. It's that he lasts 43 games and they have the third best record in the league.
Yeah.
So they thought but then again, it's one thing to fire the guy, but now you're going to go with Doc Rivers, according to reports, and it's almost done?
I'm not kidding here. I'd rather have Hubie Brown.
Yeah.
But I also respect Hubie Brown like to the moon. I think he's unbelievable. Former head coach, great broadcaster. Doc Rivers is not the guy. But Adrian Griffin, I don't think was either. So the problem again here, the defense and how lousy it was. You took over in your first year and you decided to change up the defensive philosophy. Last year, Brook Lopez nearly won Defensive Player of the Year, and he was the rim protector. And he had just a zillion block shots, and he was awesome, and it was a great story at his age. You came in and changed that and no longer had him manning the paint like he was last year or in previous years, and now he's running around the perimeter chasing guys around. Like, that's a big no-no. Bobby Portis, recently after a game, passionately challenged Griffin. They lost to Indy in the NBA Cup Finals out here. I was at the game in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
He was not happy at all, and evidently like he was challenging Griffin one-on-one. Giannis, after the loss to Houston, wasn't happy. He called everybody out, included coaches. Like, what are we going to do? Like, what's the game plan? Give us the philosophy. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no structure here. We're not getting coached right.
Yeah.
So you had...
I can see how that's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
I also want to push back on what happened last year. I don't think they were that good defensively. I thought they were bad in the playoffs.
Oh, they were.
Because Budenholzer's philosophy was, we're going to give you open threes, and water's going to find its level, and they're not going to make all their threes.
They never adjusted.
And guess what happened? Miami won an entire series, actually an entire playoffs, where they didn't miss threes and almost won the title.
And remember...
So he was stubborn, and I know this because I had a big ticket years ago on the Atlanta Hawks when they were the 1 seed. He treats the playoffs and the regular season as the same thing. You can't do that. You have to shorten your bench. He comes down, I'm going to go my same rotation. Here comes the bench guys early second quarter, early free. You can't do that.
Right.
You have to play your superstars and shorten your rotation once you get the playoff time. He didn't do that either. But I don't like the Doc Rivers move at all if it's going to be, that looks like it's going to be the case.
Right. They reported that last night on the TNT broadcast.
It was from CNN Sports.
CNN Sports?
I go, who is it, Jerome Jurenovich and Vanneral Wright? I know there was a CNN Sports. They're the only people reporting it.
Yeah.
But it's close, but CNN is the only outlet reporting that it's a done deal.
I'll tell you, Nick Charles was awesome. Fred Hickman.
Oh, yes.
I used to watch those two guys constantly. Yeah. They were a great tag team. So here's what I wanted to do with the Bucks on the futures, but we're only in January. Here at Circa, you can bet the yes/no to win the Eastern Conference. In my mind, before this all happened yesterday, I didn't think there's any way in hell that they're going to beat the 76ers in Boston in back-to-back playoff series.
All right.
So I wanted to bet minus 230 on them to not win the Eastern Conference, but I don't want to tie up my money this long. Remember we read our buddy Scotty Tribuco a couple of months ago?
Right.
And he was talking about how he loves to parlay like futures and he likes to key in teams. I wanted to key in the Bucks on the no on the Eastern Conference, but I couldn't find any other dance partners like to hold it up that long term. So now I'm going to let it breathe and see what happens with Doc. Maybe this will be a good thing regular season, and like he'll get it corrected defensively, and the numbers will kind of go up quite a bit.
You also have the going against Boston angle too, with Doc winning a title and all his years in Boston. I still don't think Missoula's a great coach.
Yeah, right.
And Missoula was terrible last year as well, which he's also learning on the job. So you cut him a break there too. But rest assured, there will be enormous trades before the deadline. And that's another thing that could impact these odds and what happens. Yeah. But the Eastern Conference playoffs could be bananas.
Oh, these teams are not even close to who they're going to be next month.
And the Heat made a good trade yesterday, too.
I like it.
So Pacers made a trade. Knicks made a big trade. Heat made a trade. Hawks could unload a star player. We'll see what the Bulls do. Not that they're contenders, but there's going to be some. Will the Cavs trade Mitchell? Big trades are still going to happen here as we get we're 2.5 weeks away from the deadline.
I mean, if all of these teams, not even in the top tier of the 3 best teams in the East, are making moves, rest assured they're going to do something about this. By the way, next coach fired, shortest shot on the board, Darvin Ham plus 275.
Ooh.
Lost last night to the Clippers. Second shortest shot, Steve Clifford, Hornets, he's plus 325. And then Monty Williams plus 375.
No way.
There's not with that contract.
Way. They gave him a ton of money.
Yep. All right, so wild goings on yesterday in the NBA. That wasn't the only thing that took place. Up next, Pauly's going to recap last night's betting action in Win Some, Lose Some. And a team filed a protest for last night's result. You're still sick if you had them on the money line. Details on that coming up next here on VSiN.
Last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
All tickets cash the same. It doesn't matter. Peterborough United. They're in League One. They played yesterday. It wasn't a league game. They played Crowley. They won 2-1. 19 of the last 21 matches have gone over 2.5 goals. They're back at it Saturday against Lincoln City. Over 2.5 is minus 105 at DraftKings. Keep it going, Peterborough. Northampton Town, plus 290. Look at all these. Barnsley, plus 230. Exeter City, plus 360. Reading, 3-1. Mansfield Town, Sutton United, draw, plus 420. That's League 2. Salford City, draw, plus 310. To hockey, the Edmonton Oilers do it again. 14 wins in a row. 8 unders in a row. They're the 7th team to win 14 in a row. The record is 17. By the Lemieux Penguins in the early 90s. Guess what? They could tie the record out here. With the schedule setting up that way, they play Vegas February 6th. That would be 17 in a row because we got the All-Star break coming up. Skinner is 18-2 in his last 20. 12 games in a row, the Oilers have allowed 2 or fewer goals. Oh, this is wild.
Oh, forget about the Jets. That record stunk.
Yeah,
that's nothing compared to the Oilers.
Yeah, 2? What a turnaround here. To your point about what can happen when
Hello, Doc Rivers.
Oh, wow. Wow, this is...
Get out of the Bucks way.
Yeah. This is incredible what Edmonton's doing. Remarkable. Great job. Ottawa, goal in the first 10 on the road. Yes, 17 of 19. Third period overs. Dallas, 13 of 14. Ottawa, 18 of 20. Sharks won again. They were plus 280 and beat the Rangers. NBA, Nuggets, Pacers under. 241.5 down to 237.5.
That was a wild basketball game last night.
Clippers from 6 up to 9.5. No LeBron, no problem. They won, covered. Thunder, Blazers, 237.5 down to 233.5. More on that coming up. The Knicks are now, before last night, were 18-0 against teams under 500. The Jazz lost, so they have a losing record now, but keep that in mind as the Knicks somehow covered that game, and we had another winner on the TNT pregame with the under. Wisconsin, Minnesota under. 145 down to 139. Texas, Oklahoma under. 146 down to 142. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. Be part of the team. Love this on X, house porn. The house in the jungle. What do you think?
I'm in.
Yeah, not
No
bad.
brainer.
You're in the middle of nowhere.
Good. I don't want any neighbors.
It is. It's beautiful. Little waterfall, lake. You're surrounded by the trees.
I appreciate nice architecture like that.
That is impressive. In the middle of nowhere. Okay, let's stick with that theme. How about this one?
I'll take that one instead.
That is also impressive. That's an Art Vandelay special. I mean, that's really in the jungle. We got a water. Is that a waterfall over there too?
I think it's got to be three waterfalls on the wall right there, the way it looks.
Wow, that's incredible. And it's a great site on X. That is nuts. Okay, what do we have here? Luke's got some info on this too. We're going to the Strip, and is it the Mercedes G-Wagon? Oh, Mom.
These debuted at CES earlier this month here in Las Vegas, and they're out on the Strip doing these 360s.
Yeah?
They're not, look at the turn. That's not even a donut that you're whipping. I mean, that's just like, that's one of the features, I think.
Oh, wow, that's impressive. Price, $225,000.
When it comes to guessing prices on cars, if my life is on the line,
no good.
Don't give me one bullet, give me two. End it, because I'm going to say, I think you're in the ballpark. I'll say $250,000. 160, huh?
All right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you never know.
Look at that. They just took over the Strip.
That's astonishing, right there. Sure. Okay, and then look at this. Let's go to the Aria. The guys in the back room playing poker, high limit poker. Texas Snow, and his dog's there, and he's eating food. Right, the dog's coming up there with the snack on the table. Got the dog in. Okay, right.
It's like Teddy KGB. If the dog tips over the plate there, then it's like that's the tell.
Yeah, that's right.
But he's eating the Oreo, so he's got the nuts.
That is great. That is excellent. Lose some. Fountain Blue. They just opened. For the fourth time, an executive is either fired or quit. And the Nacho Gate, which we played yesterday, 1.5 million views. The nachos for $24, it took an hour, and there are only 6 chips. I mean, this is a disaster for Fountain Blue. Also, Kentucky, we are who we thought you were. Bad loss. Come on.
Yeah, they couldn't. I mean, the one night they could not shoot the basketball straight at all. Last night, not a good performance.
Although South Carolina's good.
Yeah, 16-3 now.
Yep.
They're a tournament team as of this point, I would think. I mean, especially after last night's win. One other concern, and the first half did get there with South Carolina, by the way, and plus threes were available. The other concern, other than the defense for Kentucky, is going to be you have to rely on Calipari to figure out rotations for this team. I don't like their chances with that.
All right. And one more, the talking heads, Michael Wilbon, the anti-analytics people. It's just nuts the last couple of days. You can't pick and choose and just play the results with it. I'm referring to Tampa Bay going for 2. You don't bring up when Green Bay does it, it works, and it's the reason they win the game. And when the Titans did it Monday night in Miami, they go for 2, cut it to 6, win the game as a result. Every time something like that fails, they just, what are you doing? Analytics out of control, momentum, all this crap they're bringing. It's just nauseating.
How many times have I heard the word momentum in the last 5 days?
Oh, my God. Because if you don't get it, it kills your momentum. What are you talking about?
I don't know, man.
Put the VSiN experts to work for you. Start betting smarter with a VSiN Pro subscription. Get your first year for $199. Promo code FTM. Check out our brand new website, the Daily Best Bets Leaderboard. FTM is the code. A full year for $199. VSiN.com/subscribe. Good job, guys.
So I'm watching a lot of NBA last night in college basketball, and one game I definitely was paying attention to late was Portland and Oklahoma City. In Oklahoma City, they were a huge favorite. They're 14-point chalk in that game. Well, they're up against it the entire game last night, and including late when Simons hit a 3 from the parking lot to go up by 3. 109-106. Oklahoma City eventually hit a couple of free throws. It's Portland ball. And they get the ball into Malcolm Brogdon, who gets it over in front of the coaching staff, about half court, right around there, and he's double teamed. Chauncey Billups, 15 seconds left, 1-point lead, screaming for a timeout, and doesn't get it. Then
right to the official.
Right there. He's 3 feet behind him. And Brogdon then eventually double dribbles, they call it. Billups loses his mind. He comes out, he makes contact with the referee. That's technical number 1. Then eventually he follows that referee around, and that, according to the pool report after the game, is automatic ejection, technical number 2. You cannot follow the referee that gave you a technical foul. So he's gone from the game. That means double technical, 2 free throws, and the ball out for Oklahoma City. They hit 1 of 2. So the game is tied at 109 apiece. Williams hits a shot, impossible shot, fade away from like 19 feet with 2 seconds left to go up 111, 109. That's the ball game. So, again, I don't know how many people had Blazers money line last night because that's a huge ticket at plus 625 or higher.
Yeah.
Well, the league last night, they understood that Portland was going to file a protest due to the result of the game. The last time a team successfully protested a game was in 2008. The Heat were granted a protest because Shaq was fouled out of a game against the Hawks when he actually only had 5 fouls. The next time the two teams played, they first replayed the end of the last game. Atlanta still won.
Shaq wasn't on the team anymore either. He'd been traded.
How about that?
How good is that? They weren't prepared. The officials blew it. I mean, they have to understand the situation. He's screaming. He's right there calling a timeout, and the officials got it wrong. And then Brogdon got scratched in the face too, and they missed that. So I'm surprised it's happened 6 times going back in history. But we'll see if they can catch him. It's going to be wild if they have to replay it.
Wow. And
what happens. And that's enormous because you could Division 1, 2 seed.
Of course.
All this could be on the line. But they blew it. The officials made a mistake, and I agree with Chauncey.
This is Brogdon after the game. He said, quote, Chauncey Billups, the whole staff was calling timeout. I turned literally to the ref on the sideline. Clearly the ref didn't want us to have a timeout, so we couldn't get one. I get scratched in the face. I'm bleeding at the end. This one's not on us. End of quote, Malcolm Brogdon, who was called for the double dribble. But you can see, on the replay, when they pause it, and they circle Billups, he's 3 feet from the referee. Now, of course, every single head ref is going to have the back of his crew, and he told the pool reporter, it's very difficult to hear the...
Oh, come on.
And he's making excuses like, you're not going to see it, your back is turned, you can't hear...
I
sure
read
you
that,
can't.
I know, yeah. Oh,
Yep.
I couldn't hear him. Give me a break.
So then, that's how they lost the game.
Yep.
And you're right, that could mean a lot, spots like that. It'd be, imagine we're coming in here, and they play, I think the last time they play is up in Portland, if they'd have to replay the end of that game. It's only happened a handful of times in history, though. So
they stole one, no doubt about it. Portland's playing hard, though, too.
They really are.
Full marks, but that's something to watch on. That's something to keep an eye on, though, too. Brogdon could be dealt. Robert Williams could be dealt. Donovan Mitchell could be traded. There's some more. This is going to be wild with the trade deadline, I believe.
You have to give Billups plenty of time.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Yeah, it's just... Yeah,
it's a total rebuild.
Yep. Julian Edlow on the show next with DraftKings. We'll go over the NBA slate, what to do with this Bucks game one day after they're fired head coach Adrian Griffin. We'll ask him coming up next here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
You got to check out the new VSiN.com. A fresh look, enhanced navigation, expanded educational content, and as Bill 80 sent out to everyone today, Ravens now 4 in the AFC title game. Check it out, VSiN.com today.
I'm on the odds screen as we speak. I have the Vegas odds up for several sports books. And you can also click on state-by-state odds when you go to VSiN.com and check out the odds screen there. Julian Edlow joins the program now. He's with DraftKings. His podcast is called The Unreasonable Odds Pod. Julian, good morning. Thanks for the time as always. Okay, so now, based on the news yesterday, Adrian Griffin out, head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. According to reports last night, Doc Rivers is going to be the guy to take over. They play tonight now. Watch out, Cavaliers are hot. This lead in the Central has shrunk quite a bit over recent weeks. Not having a good January for the Bucks. They're 6.5 right now in this game against the Cavaliers. How are you approaching this game tonight?
I'm going to go to the Bucks first half here. This is a gotta-have-it game for the Bucks in terms of showing up and looking good. If you're going to be in this division, let this lead shrink against a good Cavs team that's playing without some key pieces, Garland, Mobley, and this firing was not performance-based, obviously. We've talked about the record. They're doing well, or not necessarily record-based. It's internal. We hear that, Giannis wasn't happy. This isn't the coach he wanted, and then things didn't go well. If you're going to fire a coach with this type of record this early, you got to back it up. So I think the Bucks will come and back it up at home. in a big game in the division. And numbers wise, we can put some numbers behind it too. Milwaukee is the second best first half team at home in the NBA. They've been awful on the road starting games, but 16-7 against the first half spread at home. So if this isn't a spot that you can, get your coach fired with whatever they have, the second, third best record, and you can't come out and play really well at home, then something is really wrong. So I just think it's a weird firing of Griffin. And if Milwaukee doesn't come out and look good, if they come out and play poorly, what does that necessarily say about them?
Okay. How do you think the T-Wolves respond after Finch went off on them and called them immature and disrespected the game and blew an 18-point lead to Charlotte at home?
Yeah, another one of the weirder spots in the NBA you'll see. A guy has 60-plus points, and he's getting benched in crunch time against a terrible team in the Hornets because they can't play basketball with him on the floor. So I think that has to be a learning lesson for this young Minnesota team, but a good Minnesota team. They're definitely a little immature. He's right.
Yep.
So if they were playing, I don't know, the Celtics tonight or something, I wouldn't necessarily be as high on them. But guess what? They get the worst defense in the league in the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are giving up 126 points per game at home this season. So what is it? I think it's at 121.5. Yep. Timberwolves team total 121.5. I think they should come out, play together, play well on offense after the comments that Finch had in terms of just giving the ball to Towns, letting him jack the ball up. And if there's any team that you can just cut through like a hot knife in butter, it's going to be this Wizards team. So I think Minnesota puts up some points tonight rather than looking at the double-digit spread.
Everyone's guilty in that, though. When you see the players, the players were asking the assistant coaches for Embiid updates where he was at so Cat could catch him. Why don't you win the game first? And that's not astonishing, right?
No wonder why Finch is pissed.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Box score there. Anthony Edwards, one of the most aggressive players in the NBA,
right.
He had 3 field goal attempts in the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah.
They clearly had an agenda there, and it totally backfired on them.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, we always talk about this. You can't handicap human emotion. I can't imagine what the Golden State players and organization going through after they lost an assistant coach at the team dinner. They haven't played since January 15th. What do you think of the Warriors tonight in their game at home?
Yeah, I have no idea. Obviously, a really unique spot. Heart goes out to the assistant coach there and his family and, that whole organization. But now what does this team do when they come back and play basketball? They're at home, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing basketball-wise. Because, at home you're going to have a lot of family, a lot of people around with heavy hearts. It's going to be an emotional game. I'm sure the pregame is going to be emotional. How are they going to come out and look now going up against the Hawks? Again, that's a defense that you should be able to put up some points against. But the Hawks have been playing. They've been in rhythm, and they've been a little bit better on the road than they have at home this season. So, long story short, I haven't bet anything in this game yet, and don't know if I plan to in terms of side and total with the whole situation. But Trae Young is out for Atlanta, and that led to some big numbers for DeJounte Murray in the last game. Let me pull him up here. I think he had 35 points and missed on a lot of assist opportunities. I think he had 6 assists on maybe 16 assist opportunities. So 35 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists for him against the Kings. He played 40 minutes. This should be, with a decent total at 233, another good paced game. So DeJounte Murray, I'm probably going to look at him either just points or bundle it all together. Points, rebounds, and assists. Without Trae Young, I know he's a trade chip right now, but he's auditioning, you could say, for the rest of the league as well. Pretty good spot for DeJounte Murray here to take advantage.
Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Julian Edlow. He's with DraftKings and the Unreasonable Odds podcast. Now, again, it's very early in the morning here. Suns play the Mavericks tonight. These two teams do not like each other. Luka does not like Devin Booker and vice versa. Luka typically goes nuts. He had 50 on Christmas against the Suns. However, we don't know the status of Luka and Kyrie. So how do you want to bet this game right now?
Yeah, I'm comfortable playing the Suns at this price. Now, you are being a little bit risky. I think Kyrie and Luka are going to play. It's a big game. It's on ABC. And if they do, this is going to go down more towards a pick 'em. So I think waiting is fine. You could get lucky and one or both of those guys sit and you get a really good price on the Suns if you're betting it early. But that's the NBA these days. Yeah, Luka owns Devin Booker and this team. But at some point, I think Phoenix is going to come through with this new, big three that they have. And I think this is a good spot to do it. Phoenix has been really good on the road lately. I know they're coming off the buzzer beater against the Bulls. They had a wild comeback again on Monday night. Are they going to run out of steam for some of these 20-point comebacks where they need a game winner from Durant? Maybe, but I don't think it'll be here. I think this will be a game that they have circled, that they are up for. There's only so long they can keep getting their butt kicked by a team that is not much better than them, if better than them at all in terms of talent, without turning the corner here. So I think that Phoenix is the play for me in this one. Just matchup-wise with how the Suns are rolling right now, they are finally healthy. Nurkic should give Dallas a lot of problems in the paint. Dallas struggles with opposing centers. That we want to focus on all the wings, but I think that could be a big X factor in this game.
Julian, final 2 minutes here. I do want to hit one college basketball game with you tonight. Now, this one should be, sit down on the couch, take it in for 2 hours. It should be up and down. It should be highly entertaining and worth your time. Is it worth betting on? Because Alabama opened up a 1-point favorite. They're now up to 3.5 against Auburn. And the total dropped from 165 down to 161.5. So it has movement here on the side in the total. Do you like anything right now?
Yeah, that total was really high. I would have played the under where it was. It's probably settling in right around the spot that it should be, an 81 to 82 to 79 type of game or whatever. I did lay 2.5 with Bama last night and put that out. I was concerned a little. I really like Auburn. Auburn is a really good team. I took them on the road whenever it was, a couple weeks ago. I took Arkansas plus the points against them. That shrunk from 5.5 to 2.5. Everybody was on Arkansas, and Auburn pounded them on the road. Now, Arkansas is a tough place to play, but that team just does not have it this year. And that's Auburn's toughest road game to date. I think this is going to be a similar style, rowdy atmosphere, and Alabama actually has the talent to back it up. Now, you look record-wise, it's one of those fishy games where they've lost a lot of games, but you go through the schedule, they had a 3-game losing streak. Purdue, Creighton, Arizona. Alabama's really tested against good teams. And now you have Auburn coming off wins as double-digit favorites, not having been tested much. Alabama coming off the loss at Tennessee, coming home for a get-right spot. I think the spot sets up really nicely for Alabama, and when you do go back and look at their games, they have been very tested in some of these big losses.
Well done. You can follow Julian on X. He's at Julian Edlow, and his podcast is called The Unreasonable Odds Pod. Thanks, Julian. Best of luck tonight.
All right, thanks, guys. Talk next week.
You bet. Up next, we'll run down the best and worst ATS teams in the NBA and college hoops. The amount of teams hitting around 80% at this point of the season is pretty incredible. Details on that next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. New customers bet $5 on any game. You get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the app now. Use code VSiN. Ton of props already up and adding more. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. They got Fat Man touchdown, by the way. And kickoff return. Anything you want at DraftKings, code VSiN. The crown is yours.
Are they still calling it the Fat Man touchdown?
I think it's offensive lineman. That's I like. Well, they used to call it Fat Man.
I know.
I like to keep it that way.
Yeah, the portly fella touchdown.
Yeah.
Of the week.
I used to be fat. So what? Do something about it then. you don't want people calling you fat, clean it up.
It's called diet and exercise? Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
All right.
Yeah, put the food down.
Here we go. Your weekly look at the best and worst teams, ATS, in the NBA and college basketball. We'll throw some totals in here as well. The best teams in the association, they did not cover last night. Thunder now 28-14-1. They were 14-point favorites, won by 2 against Portland. So that was a loser last night. 76ers on the year are 27-15 ATS. The Magic are 28-16. I'd still say very under the radar with Orlando. The Jazz, well, they were run out last night. So they actually dropped to 26-18-1. And the Pelicans improved to 25-18-1 as a result. And you're saying that New Orleans last night was an in-play dream with the total?
Oh, yeah. I think they combined for 70 points in every quarter. The first one I saw out of the gates was, I think, 247, and then it got to 251. But it was, you couldn't put the number high enough. There's just, they got whatever they wanted and scored 153 points in the game.
Yep. The worst teams in the NBA, ATS, Atlanta. It's been the same story the entire year. They're covering at a 25.6% clip on the year. They're 11-32 ATS. You said a key phrase earlier. You can never handicap human emotion. The Warriors are laying 4.5 tonight in this game. They haven't played since MLK Day.
Yep.
They're laying 7.5 in the game.
That's something that sticks with you for the rest of your life. You see someone give a heart attack and die at
pretty much die right at the table.
Right at dinner, right. So, and then you write the time off, and then, but then again, Atlanta's just got to blow this up. You trade Murray, do you trade Trae Young? I don't know, but maybe one guy's got to go for sure because we know they can't play together.
What would you be willing to give up for Trae Young?
I don't know. That's a good question because I saw some reports. Could the Lakers get him? Could the Lakers make a big trade and get Donovan Mitchell or something? I mean, that's not a lot, I'll tell you that. But because of the Gobert trade and then the Murray trade, everything's screwed up with what Minnesota gave up to get Gobert in terms of picks. So I know all first-round picks aren't created equally, but
and Siakam?
I think Atlanta gave up 3 first-round picks to get Murray.
They did.
And now I don't think they've come close to that if they trade him.
Yeah, and you look at what the Pacers gave up to get Siakam.
Right, yeah.
So that's 2 for this year's upcoming draft, another one on top of that. I mean, if Siakam, I like Siakam, he's very good. And teams, they panic and overpay sometimes. I would not be surprised if a team would give up 4 or 5 first-round picks for Trae Young.
Yeah, and all these picks are different in how organizations look at it. But to your point, like if the Lakers want to give up picks in 2029 or something like that, you might laugh, but maybe the Lakers are bad. LeBron's gone, AD's gone. Who knows what those picks look like?
The Suns are 15-26-2 ATS. That's really, really bad. And they play tonight against Dallas again. Julian likes them. I'll break this down, what Luka has done against the Suns a little bit later on in the program. He's been very good. Bucks are 16-26-1. So despite being 30-13 on the year straight up, they're 10 games below 500 covering these games. Charlotte, the exact opposite. Getting a ton of points, can't cover unless you're the Timberwolves. 16-25 ATS. Memphis, 18-25 ATS on the year. Then we flip it and we go to totals in the association. The best teams of the over. Philly, 26-16. Pistons, 26-16-1. And they're going over by 5.4 points per game. Bucks 26-17, going over by 5.5 points per game. Do you think we get a reversal tonight, game 1, after firing Griffin, and the talk has been how bad the defense has been? Totals in the mid-230s against the Cavaliers.
Not necessarily, no, because you still have the interim taking over, so that's, and they can still get whatever they wanted, get whatever they want offensively, and it's a frenetic pace. I'll tell you what, a job by the Cavs. They had key injuries.
I totally agree.
I mean, again, this is a couple weeks ago. This was minus 2,000.
Yeah.
It's a 2-game lead now in the division.
Yep. Warriors are 24-16 to the over on the year. And OKC, that game did stay under last night, but they're still 25-17 to the over on the season. Your best under teams in the NBA. Denver, after last night, we'll add one more in the win column to the under. 27-18 now under on the year. They were down by... No, they were up 99-81, and the next time I looked, they're trailing in the game in the fourth quarter. That game just was a total seesaw back and forth. Grizzlies 25-18 to the under. Heat 25-18 to the under. Orlando 24-19-1, and then Knicks another under last night. So make it 25-19 to the under on the year. When we flip it now and go to college basketball, your best teams in that sport, ATS. Minnesota 15-3. Covered again last night against Wisconsin. Covering on average by almost 4 points per game. Eastern Washington 12-3-1. Richmond 13-4-1. Also Southern Illinois, same record. And Cal State Northridge 13-4 against the spread. Your worst teams in college basketball against the spread on the year. Pacific 3-15. They're missing the cover on average by almost 9 points per game. Middle Tennessee is 3-14. Missouri 4-14. Old Dominion, same market, 4-14. And Detroit 5-15 ATS, missing the cover on average by 6.6 points per game. Your best teams to the over. And this is where you're getting a bunch of teams still hitting at 80% or more on the year. Kentucky dropped one last night. That stayed under, so they're 14-4. Before that game, they were 14-3, going over by 14.2 points per game. Couldn't shoot. Missed everything last night. Niagara, 14-3 to the over. Going over on average by 12.2 points per game. Wofford, 13-3 over. Jacksonville, same record. And Fairfield is 14-4 to the over on the season. Your best teams to the under. Dartmouth, 12-2 under, Pauly, staying under by 9.3 points per game. Western Illinois, 12-3 under. LIU, 12-4-1 to the under. Marist, 12-4. And South Florida is also 12-4 to the under on the year.
All right, very good. Hockey, Vancouver, number 1 in ROI. $100 bet every game. You're up almost 11 units. The Red Wings, number 2, up 8 units. The Blues, 7 units. Then Winnipeg and Arizona. Worst ROI, hey, they won back-to-back games, is $3 dogs. San Jose still down 9 units for the season. Then the Maple Leafs, right there behind them, down almost 8 units. The Islanders now with Patrick Waugh. How many coaches have been fired in the NHL this year?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Islanders made a change. They're 1-1 so far with Waugh. Lost last night to the Knights. They're down 7 and change. Then Minnesota and then Columbus. And for all the great numbers, goal in the first 10, first period, second period, follow Chris Otto at PSU Auto, Ian Duncan and Jonathan Davis. They do a great job. Spreadsheets, everything you want. They tweeted updated stuff every single day. Everything imaginable in NHL with those 3 guys.
Are the Oilers going to shock the world and win this division? Vancouver's an incredible story, as you just documented.
Yeah, they have 5 games in hand, which I can't believe. Mm-hmm. So Vancouver is hot, and Vancouver's been a great story. But this is nuts here with Edmonton, by the way, is 13th in ROI, even though they've won 4. It tells you how bad the start was.
The start of the season was so atrocious.
Yeah. But I still want Vancouver, but there's no telling that Edmonton can keep this up, set the record held by the Lemieux Penguins, and maybe they catch Vancouver. But that's still, Jeff Davis is on from Circa tomorrow, a hockey expert. That's wild that they have 5 games in hand.
2 games that are very intriguing tonight for various reasons that we talked about. The Bucks against the Cavaliers. 24 hours after they fired Adrian Griffin. And then, again, what to do with the Warriors game. Just stay away, you think, is the best advice? Or do you want to get involved and maybe go with Golden State?
Yeah, I'd say Golden State first half.
Yeah, 4.5.
Yeah, they got to get their act together. You're not even going to make the play-in if this continues. I'm also intrigued by Winnipeg and Toronto tonight. Winnipeg finally gave up more than 3 goals for the first time in 35 games. Now see how they respond against the Maple Leafs.
Sure. Total in that game, I believe, 6.
Yeah.
Probably where it should be. I don't know if I could go over 6 in that game. Winnipeg, it was 1 game. They gave up 4, but they still only had 5 combined in that game against Boston.
Shop around, too. You can find a good price on the Bruins to win the division if books fall asleep. $180. If you can in that range, I think that maybe $2 too low if books haven't adjusted because the Bruins are hot, and I think the Bruins are going to win that division again.
Yeah, so do I. The best I could find was like $220 and $250 when I looked earlier this week. Up next, Wednesdays with Vito's son, Sal Paolantonio, is going to join the program, ESPN. Baltimore has pounded teams this season with similar point spreads to Sunday. Does it mean anything when they take the field against the Chiefs? We'll ask him next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.